This is me at the Atrium Mall as a security guard. I was the only woman among a group of men. The only woman working with all males. That was a while ago. That was, I think, 2007 to 2013 when I was security guard. Today's video is sexual abuse and sexual assault. Hi, I'm Sandy Wyllie, and this is a very difficult topic to address. After years of being a stay-at-home mom, I had two children, one severely brain damaged and in the hospital for years, who I spent all of my days in the hospital, and I had another little baby too that I had to take care of. Once Alex got settled in a residential place, the May Center, and my son was going to school, grade school, so he had longer days in grade school than just a couple of hours in preschool. I thought it was time that I'd get a part-time job. And I went to this Atrium Mall in Newton every week. Every Friday I had lunch with my husband there, and I got really friendly with all of the people who worked there. The people in his bookstore and the security guards. And that was, I really felt at home. Everyone knew my name. It felt like Cheers, the Cheers bar. You want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Well, that's how it felt there. So I decided, why not look for a job here? But what could I do here? I really didn't want to work behind a register or in a store. And I was friendly with the security guards. So I asked them, what do you do? Is it like a police officer? Do I have to arrest people? And they said, no, it's nothing like that. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is, it's like a watch guard, like someone who walks around and just keeps an eye on things. And, you don't, you're not a police officer. You're not trained to, handcuff or arrest people. So I looked into that and I got a job. Now, I was their token woman. You know how they have to have that token minority? I'm not going to say what the minorities are. I don't want to offend anyone. But I was their token woman. I was the only woman in a group of men. So, and I was a very attractive, much younger woman back then. And I was flirty and goofy and just like, you kind of know my personality a little bit by watching these videos. So one guy took it the wrong way. One security officer thought my like bubbly, flirty personality meant that I wanted him. I wasn't 1 ounce attracted to the security officer. He was another minority. That's why I knew it would be no good to speak up after what happened. Because he was a minority, and he also was very close with the top security manager, the big boss. He was very close to him. And he also worked in another store, a very fancy upscale store. I'm not going to mention what it is. This is an upscale mall in Newton, okay? They have boutiques. The prices are very high. It's no longer there. But yeah, so he worked security part-time, and he worked in that other store full-time, and that store was very upscale. I'm not going to say what that store was. But anyway, so, and he had been around for a long, long time, many, many years, so I just joined. This is the first job I got since I had children, okay? So I just started the job. I didn't want to lose the job. I didn't want to make waves. And I was frightened. Nothing like this ever happened to me before. So I was bubbly and I was flirty. And one day I walking down to the security office, and all the security guards, including myself, because I'm one, have a key to the office. And no one else can get into that office unless you're a security guard. Because it's locked. So I had the key, I opened the door, I went in, and he followed me down there, and he went in, and he threw me up against the wall, and he started grinding his erection into me and trying to kiss me, holding my arms back, and I kept saying, no, no, come on, you know you want it, you know you want it. He's grinding his erection, and he's trying to kiss me, and like I'm waving my head because I don't want this. I don't want to have sex with him. I don't even want to kiss him. I don't want nothing to do with him. I was just being, guys don't understand. You know what I mean? You can be playful and flirty and fun, but they take it like, oh, she wants me. She wants me. And I kept saying, no, no, let me go. No, no, no. Finally, I got free and ran out the door. I was so upset. Of course, who did I call but Dr. Richard Geist? I talked to him many times. I talked about him many times in this video. He was my psychologist. He completely ignored me. Blew me off. Can you imagine? I was just sexually assaulted. So I said, my God, what am I going to do? So the first thing I did is I told my supervisor, not the security manager, the supervisor. There's like several supervisors on each shift, and then there's this assistant security manager. Then there's a top security manager who is very close to this guy. But I just decided to tell my supervisor, my immediate supervisor. And so he said, well, I should tell the security manager. And I go, oh, I'm really afraid, if you tell him, he's very close to him, and, I'm sure he would take his side. From being old enough to know about certain things, I was a new person there, okay? I wasn't there that long. This guy had been in the mall for years and years. He was a minority. The manager was a minority. They were very tight like this. This guy also worked full-time in another upscale boutique in the mall. I didn't think this guy was going to be going anywhere. If anyone was going anywhere, it was me, and I just got this job. And at the time, my husband was working at Borders for like $9 an hour, so we needed the money, okay? I needed to work. We needed the money, and I just got this job, and I said, Jesus, I don't want to be kicked out of the first job the very first job I had since I had children, okay? I worked before I had kids, but I was a preschool teacher at the YMCA, and I also worked as an administrative assistant and in the computer department, data entry and just normal office work, right, at Stoner Webster and Engineering. That was another predominantly male office, but they had women too. But this job, I was the sole woman, the sole security guard who was a woman. The rest all men. So I said, I'm really afraid about you talking to him, and he said, well, we were going over it, and he goes, well, I'll talk to him, the guy that assaulted me, and I'll tell him, he can't do that, So he did talk to him. He said that, next time I'm going to have to go to the security manager if that happens again. So it never happened again, but it left a scar. All these things leave a nice, thick, big scar. It's like someone comes with a knife, right? One person, and then another person comes in. After you keep scarring over the same spot over and over and over and over and over again, it just doesn't heal. I'm not healed. I don't think I'm ever going to be healed. First of all, I'm never going to therapy ever again. And I don't trust anyone, especially psychologists. And if you watch these videos, you will know I've been sexually abused. A shrink had sex with me. That's like incest, okay? So I was sexually abused by psychologists, mentally abused. I almost had a breakdown with one of them. It runs the whole gamut, so I'm done with them. But this video is just about sexual abuse and sexual assault. So I wanted to share with you my personal sexual assault at work. I stayed there still, and I just try to avoid that person. But looking back, I should have spoken up. I didn't do the right thing. So that's why I'm coming on to say, don't keep quiet. Don't. Speak up. If someone, doesn't respect your boundaries, it doesn't matter. Like they say, it doesn't matter if the woman walked into the bar with a very low-cut top on and a high skirt, and she flirted. does that mean she deserves to be raped? Does that mean that that woman deserves that against her will just because she's dressed a certain way or she acts a certain way, right? So, and you should speak up. I did the wrong thing. I mean, I told my supervisor, granted, and he did talk to the guy who sexually assaulted me, and it never happened again. But still, I didn't, he wanted to speak to the manager, and I didn't want to make waves. And see, I think a lot of women like me feel like that. You feel like you don't want to make waves. I felt I was responsible because I flirted with this guy, um, you know, I said I must have, did something to make this guy think that I wanted to, do that with him. Why is he throwing me up against the wall, I must have did something to make him think that I wanted that. I was very lucky I didn't get raped, very lucky. I mean, I kept screaming, no, no, and thrashing about, and he probably figured, even though the security office was on the ground level of the parking garage, so it's very rare that there's many people going through that. I mean, all the customers are on the levels A, B. This was on level D. So basically, the only people that would go on that low level are maybe the cleaning people, or I think some employees who work in the mall park on that level, and security people. I mean, it's not, it's true. Maybe, it wasn't 100% isolated, but it was pretty isolated. But I just think that I just was lucky. I was very lucky that guy didn't rape me. He could have raped me. So what I'm trying to convey here is that, it isn't the woman's fault. I felt it was my fault partially because of the way I flirted, number one. Number two, I kept quiet. Well, I did tell my supervisor, but I didn't want to make waves and telling the manager because that guy should have been fired. That's sexual assault. I could have called the police on that guy. That guy was, assaulting me, and I kept telling him no, 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 and he kept grinding his erection. That was sexual assault. I mean, eventually I got free, okay? But it doesn't matter. It was sexual assault. It left a scar on me, and he got away free. I mean, the supervisor just said, don't do that again. I'll have to go to the manager. That's it. That's all that guy got. It was never written up. It was never put in the books. Nothing, So looking back, I shouldn't have kept quiet. Now, if you watch all these videos, and I put newsletters out on LinkedIn, and I've written autobiographies, I've written books on and about all these psychologists, how they abuse me. Now I go the exact opposite way. Instead of keeping quiet, I voice things now. You have to. You can't keep it in. If you've been attacked, if your boundaries all have been trampled on, okay, you need to get out there and speak. Let other people know, it's not okay. The woman shouldn't feel bad because they were flirty or they were, gregarious and, and friendly with these guys. It didn't mean that they wanted to have sex with them because they were that way. I never gave the impression that I wanted to have sex with this guy. It's not okay. It wasn't my fault. I shouldn't have kept quiet. Don't keep quiet. Don't keep quiet. I shouldn't have kept quiet. I could have took a lawsuit out if they fired me, if they let go of me, because that would have been a lawsuit, right? I was afraid that, I just found a job, and I was afraid of, losing that job if I reported this guy to the manager, So that's what I'm trying to drive home. It's not your fault. If your boundaries have been violated, it's not your fault. Don't keep quiet about it, okay? Don't. It's, and it's still psychologically, I just can't imagine what it would be like for a woman who actually was raped, because I wasn't raped, but I was violated. And I still feel, the trauma of that, just like I feel the trauma of the psychologist who sexually abused me. Now, every one of you people are going to say, oh, right, yeah, you had a 2-year affair with him. He took you out to dinner. He didn't abuse you. Yes, he did. In California, it's considered incest. He was a person of power over me. He was in a position of power. He took a Hippocratic oath saying, do no harm. You shall never, ever have sex with a patient. because it's not an equal relationship. You might think it is, but it isn't. This person is a doctor. He was a doctor, okay? He went through training. He got his PhD, okay? He was in a person of power, and he knew that. He knew how to manipulate me psychologically. He manipulated me. It's incest. You can be jailed in some states, in Connecticut, in California. I haven't looked up all the rest of them, but I was sexually abused by my psychologist, okay? And my other two psychologists, Dr. Jeffrey Fortgang and Dr. Dick Geis, what did they do? They went along with it. They didn't do anything. They promoted the relationship. So I have been sexually abused. I have been sexually assaulted. And now it's time to speak up about it. Don't be quiet anymore. It's not okay. It's not the victim's fault. It's time for us to band together and speak up about these people. Bring them into the light and let people know who they are. Give them faces. Give them names. You speak your voice. Don't be hushed like I was, Don't be ashamed that it was your fault because you were to this or to that. Or someone says, oh, you did this. Always blame the victim, right? You dressed too provocatively. You were too flirty. You, right? No, don't let anyone shame you. It's time for us to band together and to speak up about sexual abuse. And that's why it's so important this morning that I said I'm going to put this video out there for others who felt shamed like I did, who never spoke up, and who let it carry on.